Attack on Titan VR. Unbreakable brings the engaging and intense franchise into virtual reality with a game filled with ODM-fueled highs and just as many Titan-crushing lows. The Attack on Titan anime concluded in stunning fashion in 2023 and has released video games in the past that allowed players to take the fight to the terrifying Titans. But now, VR much more effectively puts fans into the world and the bellies of the Titans created by Hajime Isayama. The intimidating world of AOD is not one that many people would choose to spend time in, but that hasn't stopped fans from eating up the anime or games released in the franchise so far. Certain Attack on Titan fan games have done a great job of recapturing the fast-paced movement and combat featured in the series, but they all fail compared to the immersion and movement the franchise's first VR game achieves. Attack on Titan VR. Unbreakable released its first 2 chapters, containing 10 missions in early access during July 2024. After playing through each as well as the final 2 chapters, it's clear that developer UNIVRS has accomplished its goal of providing an exciting and fast-paced experience AOT fans will love. However, several bugs and a massive lack of story presentation may push others away. All the fun of flying around in ODM gear without the huge risks. The 4 chapters of AOTVR's story mode include 16 separate missions accessed from a hub where players can swap out their weapons and check their scores against online leaderboards. As a fan of the original story, it's difficult not to be a little disappointed not to be able to play through some of the first season's most exciting moments. However, a lot of that disappointment disappears the moment players are able to experience Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable's ODM gear movement and their first satisfying Titan kill. One aspect of the AOT world that people wish they could experience is using the ODM gear the series characters use to traverse and combat the Titans. With modern VR technology, players can soar through the air with satisfying momentum. The movement and sense of speed achieved are impressive, but the game's combat is where most frustration will spawn, especially when against multiple Titans at once. Unreliable hitboxes will have players meet several accidental deaths with foes grabbing them through buildings or with attacks that visually show them missing. The Titans are introduced in a brilliant yet horrifying manner in the series and seem like walking unstoppable nightmares. However, it's revealed that Titans can be slain by cutting a chunk from the back of their neck. AOTVR also requires players to execute the brutal nape slash to keep a Titan down for good. Still, the necessary high-speed movement to land significant damage paired with sometimes unreliable hitboxes can struggle to keep up with the Meta Quest 3's controller tracking. However, landing a killing blow at full speed creates a thrill and sense of accomplishment few games can manage. AOTVR almost nails the gameplay, but misses big on story. Unlike the linear but incredibly immersive stories featured in recent VR gaming experiences like Metro Awakening and Batman: Arkham Shadow, Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable is not a game focused on telling an engrossing story. Instead of reenacting the most action-packed moments of the first chunk of AO's desperate story of survival, players take control of an unnamed and mute protagonist who is saved by the fan-favorite Titan Slayer, Levi. They soon start helping in missions to gather resources, defend locations, and defeat Titans. Through Hajime Isayama's profound manga and Attack on Titan's hit anime adaptation, fans worldwide shuddered at the intense, thought-provoking, and stunning plot twists that appeared around almost every corner of the story, which feels like a huge missed opportunity not to include any of them. It's unclear exactly when Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable's story takes place since it only briefly includes 4 of the series' main cast members. Still, it does take place before the identity of the armored Titan is revealed. Besides the campaign's missions that will have players working to protect vital resources for humanity, there are a surprising amount of modes available in AOTVR. Training modes effectively teach players the ropes of using the ODM gear and also provide a safe space to test out different blades that each have their own stats and specialties. The game does a great job of making each blade type feel distinct with its range, heft, and even unique abilities that help add variation to combat. Flying around and severing Titan limbs with the varied arsenal of unlockable swords can be a remarkably satisfying experience, especially in survival mode. After the final mission is completed, survival mode unlocks and tasks the player to slay 100 Titans who periodically spawn and are mostly slain in one hit, a mode that can make players feel like Levi Ackerman himself in arguably the game's most fun mode. Still, it's a shame that the game does not include a mode allowing players to control a hulking Titan. Final thoughts review. Co-op multiplayer with up to 2 players is included in the game but could not be accessed during the review period of the game. Still, once the game launches and if it manages to run smoothly, friends can work together to coordinate attacks, lure Titans, and land devastating combo attacks. with some missions being notably more difficult than others due to having to fight an overwhelming amount of titans at once. Tackling those or the base defense missions with a friend could be a much less frustrating experience because missions can be extremely difficult in single player. As far as an anime-based VR game goes, Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable accomplishes the colossal task of allowing players to enjoy some of the most extraordinary aspects of its dangerous world with moments of extremely satisfying victories. Still, with inconsistent combat and a lack of the deep storytelling that helped AOT become the iconic series known worldwide, Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable is a great experience for fans but fails to stand above other VR titles that push the medium forward.